And now for what the people might not know. This gentleman's name is Tony Cottonbach, and he is the son of two of the Cape founders, William and Pam Cottonbach. And he went ahead and put this on both the Gazette blog site and myrosscounty.com. And since it's been up, he's been called a bonehead, a communist, and told to leave the country. And it's a shame that some people can't be adult and respect others' opinions. You have it in one family, two different opinions, and I'm sure they get along just fine. But this is one of the best researched and written point of views I've read yet, and I've read quite a few articles about the red light cameras. Now you'll ask, where am I going with this? I got from the auditor's office a list of all the addresses from the recent Redflex refunds, and they show that only 21.29% were city residents, and the other 78.71% were county or out-of-state residents. Net profit as of February 26, 09 was $98,912.99. We voted for this in the interest of safety, and I would like to ask that we try and earmark $100,000 for laptops in the cruisers. This will make officers more efficient when filling out the reports. They will be out in the neighborhoods, visible, but more important, it will allow them to check the faces of someone they're trying to stop with what the Ohio BMV has on file. So I would like to make that request of council that we earmark some of these profits for laptops in the cruisers.
Thank you, Mrs. Patrick.
Thank you.
Any other member of council?
Pat, you might
Mr.
want to
Morrison.
stop down my office. We've already taken that into consideration in our budget. Okay,
Excellent.
so stop down, I'll show it to you.
Any other members of council? Mr. Bonner.
Thank you, President Pro Tem Trutchell. First, I'd like to announce that the Human Resource Committee will have a meeting Wednesday, the 18th at 4 o'clock in the municipal building on Paint Street. That's the Human Resource meeting at the 18th, Wednesday, 4 o'clock, the municipal meeting to discuss Assignment 219, which will extend the hours for the nuisance officer. And secondly, I hate to continue, and I'll be brief about this Redflex, but there was a Mr. Gillespie that had an issue with Redflex, and I wasn't here last meeting, but that was that has been settled. He received his refund. It did take a long time, and it was a big pain for a lot of us, but I was glad, and certainly Mr. Gillespie couldn't have been more understanding and reasonable about the whole thing, which brings me to the second point I'll make. This can be somewhat kind of a precarious situation. My boss received a ticket from Redflex, so but you know, he is, you know, my boss. He is quite younger than me, but he was a fine gentleman. He said, I understand completely. I was in the wrong. These cameras are probably going to maybe save someone's life or an injury. He said, I don't like paying $95, obviously, but hey, when you're wrong, and let's hope everybody slows down. So if everyone would have the attitude those two gentlemen have, I think that we'd benefit greatly. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Bonner. Anyone else? Mr. Prohl.
Thank you, President Pro Tem Trutchell. Safety Services Committee will be having a committee meeting Wednesday, March the 11th at 4 o'clock in Conference Room 1. We'll be talking about the free parking passes for residents on 4th Street, and also along with that we'll be talking about refunding monies to people who had purchased parking passes for the year, and those parking passes were not necessary because of the time that we allotted for the free parking on 4th last year. So we're going to look at both of those issues on the 11th at 4 o'clock at Conference Room 1. Thanks.
Thank you, Mr. Prohl. Anyone else? Okay, we have committee assignments and meeting dates. Oops, we missed petitions and correspondence. That's what we're at.
I have none.
All right, new business. Mr. Bonner?
Thank you, Mr. Trutchell. Also, I could put this with old, but new, because it was kind of my attention. Dustin, at that meeting, Could we also maybe look at removing some of the meters on Fourth that are east of the alley, down on Fourth Street there between Payne and Mulberry? That's very residential down through there. Could we look at that? I know we want to remove all the meters, but that's getting into a very residential area, and I've had some requests from down there that would like to see those meters all the way gone.
Okay, I could talk to Bob and see. But
Can we discuss that meeting, Wednesday,
What's that?
at your committee meeting, discuss that at your committee meeting
Yes.
Wednesday?
Yeah. Thank
All
you.
right, that'll work. Anyone else?
I would like to
Mrs.
make-
Malone?
I'm sorry. I would like to make a motion to excuse Cindy Henderson.
All right, second by Mrs. Patrick. Roll call.
Ames,
Yes.
Bonner,
Yes.
Cross,
Yes.
Lester,
Yes.
Malone,
Yes.
Patrick,
Yes.
Prohl,
Yes.
Trutchell.
Yes. Now it brings us to committee assignments and meeting dates. Committee assignment 233 is a development to authorize with a contract with Mr. Mike Secoy to administrate the Neighborhood Stabilization Program. Assignment 234 is to finance to accept $3,760 reimbursed for police continuing education. 235 to Parks and Recreation to authorize application for the David Mead Massey Trust Grant for the fireworks display. Assignment 236 to Community to adopt Emerald Ash Borer Management Plan. 237 to Parks and Recreation to authorize use of the park for the Feast of the Flowering Moon. And assignment 238 to Utilities to adjust the pay of Utilities Office Supervisor. And we have open dates on the 16th, the 30th of March, and April 6th and the 20th. And our next regular session is March 23rd in 2 weeks. That brings us to legislation. Item 1.
First reading of a resolution authorizing the submittal of a proposal through the Ohio Department of Transportation for grants through the U.S. DOT Federal Transit Administration as authorized under the American Recovery and Reinvestment Act of 2009 and the federal transit laws as codified 49 U.S.C. Section 5311, financial assistance for other than urbanized areas, further authorizing the execution of a contract with ODOT and declaring emergency. First reading.
Item 2.
First reading of an ordinance authorizing the mayor of the city of Chillicothe, Ohio to enter into a contract with the Walter H. Drain Company and declaring emergency. First reading.
Mrs. Lester?
I'd like to ask to waive the three-read rule and pass this tonight. It is an emergency.
Thank you. And Mrs. Malone seconds. Roll call on a motion?
Ames,
Yes.
Bonner,
Yes.
Cross,
Yes.
Lester,
Yes.
Malone,
Yes.
Patrick,
Yes.
Prohl,
Yes.
Trutchell.
Yes. Roll call on the ordinance?
Ames,
Yes.
Bonner,
Yes.
Cross,
Yes.
Lester,
Yes.
Malone,
Yes.
Patrick,
Yes.
Prohl,
Yes.
Trutchell.
Yes. Item 3.
First reading of an ordinance appropriating $6,350 to cover the cost of additional design plans for the Hospital Road sewer line extension and declaring an emergency. First reading.
Okay, that brings us to adjournment.
Make a
Mrs.
motion to
Malone.
adjourn.
Ms. Malone, second by Mrs. Lester. Roll call?
Ames.
Yes.
Bonner.
Yes.
Cross.
Yes.
Lester.
Yes.
Malone.
Yes.
Patrick.
Yes.
Prohl.
Yes.
Trutchell.
Yes. That concludes this meeting. Thank you.